Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video I'm going to be discussing why victims of modern day slavery should not be given asylum, certainly in the UK. My reasoning for doing this video is I'm currently doing an article on why Suella Braverman's plan or proposed legislation that she made in October probably won't work and probably won't get anywhere, or probably isn't going to reduce mass immigration. I know that's sad for everyone, but that's what I think, having read it. But one of the key things is giving asylum to victims of modern slavery. And I'm going to discuss the problems for this, because modern slavery is a massive industry and it's quite an expansive problem these days. I mean, in Leicestershire or Leicester, I believe there were thousands of modern slaves who were working to manufacture clothes, and as far as I'm aware, they're still there. Not much happened there. But I think it's important to discuss this issue because most people, or most right-thinking people, would feel natural sympathy towards modern-day slaves, people who've been trafficked, who probably have their families being threatened and have no way out, probably are naturally inclined to give them sympathy, and I would. However, it's important when you're giving anybody sympathy or giving anything to anybody because of their disadvantage, you consider whether or not it's in their best interests or the best interests of everyone else. And I think with giving asylum to victims of modern slavery, I think though it might seem appealing and like a nice thing to do, it probably isn't the best thing for them, either personally or for their families back home wherever they are, or for the country and the general public at large, the public interest, if you will. I want to make the case that it's not really in a victim of modern slavery's best interests to give them asylum. The reason for this is quite complicated, so I'll briefly give you an outline of how the modern slavery industry works in most cases. So normally, for most modern slaves who are doing physical labour or anything really in the Western world, they're normally people from third world countries. And moving someone from a country like Vietnam, Nigeria, wherever, to the UK or the United States is actually quite difficult. It's a very complex logistical operation. So normally, what will happen is you'll have someone who is from somewhere in Africa, somewhere in the Far East, somewhere in Central Asia, somewhere that's very poor. And they'll be transported to a Western country to work, and their wages will normally be given to a gang, and they might get a couple of pounds or dollars, whatever, as pocket money. So what I'll do is I'll tell a story of someone. Anna is this isn't a real story, by the way. Anna is a victim of human trafficking, or she's a modern day slave. She works manufacturing textiles in the UK. The reason Anna is a slave is she wanted to go to find a better life because she was very poor. So she got offered and was seduced by the offer made to her by local gangsters who say they'll transport her or help transport her to England, where she can make up to £12 an hour and send that money home. So normally what will happen is the gangsters will pay international smuggling cartels or smuggling organisations to move these people halfway around the world. So Anna has been moved halfway around the world and is now in the UK. There is a local gang in the UK that looks after Anna and houses her and gets the job for her. The local gang works with Anna or forces her to work and takes her wages. So Anna's wages will be split between the local gang and the gang in wherever, let's say Vietnam, Nigeria, somewhere like that. And the local gang will take probably around 40% of her wages, and the gang back home who are holding her family will take another 40%, and maybe Anna will get 20% of her wages, if that. So, now that we've got a picture of it, I need to highlight the most important bit, and that is that Anna's family are being held. Holding someone's family, or threatening to kill someone's family or hurt someone's family, is a very good way of stopping someone from escaping. Most modern day slaves don't actually need locked doors and that type of thing, because most modern day slaves are in the position where their family will be murdered, assaulted, maimed if they escape or disappear. So, Anna has recently been freed, and the local gang have all been put in prison. Anna has been given asylum and now works at Tesco or another supermarket. I shouldn't really use specific supermarkets, but I'm not going to. And I'm not saying that Tesco have modern day slaves working for them. So Anna is now working for a supermarket and is on £10.50 an hour. Lovely wage. She's been given housing for 6 months until she can get on her feet. The only problem is for Anna is that the local gang still have her family. And they found her. Or Anna has found them so she can keep paying them to protect her family. Anna has been paying the local gang 40% of her wages, which is her monthly wage is £1,500 a month. So she's paying them about £700 a month. The problem here is that Anna is still being trafficked. She's still effectively a slave. There will be loads of people like Anna throughout the UK and throughout the Western world. Giving someone asylum in a Western country because they've been trafficked is not necessarily a good thing for them, because they're still being trafficked and it's still benefiting the gang who are taking money off Anna in return for the protection and safety of her family. I think it's important to understand this because it's quite difficult for people to think past the emotions, and the problem we've got is it's a multifaceted industry. It's a very global industry, modern day slavery. So you can't really take out anyone involved in modern slavery. It just wouldn't be practical. So instead, what you've got to do is stop modern slaves from being transported, and the best way to do that is not to give them asylum and send them back, because what will normally happen is if someone is deported, the gang will keep trying, expend more money trying to get them back to the Western world so they can recoup some of the money. But if every time a victim of human trafficking is sent back, at a certain point it will start to become uneconomical to have modern day slaves. That's the reason why it's not in the best interests of the victim personally, because they'll still be being trafficked. They probably still will be trafficked when they get home. However, it will be less likely because you can arrange, or at least make it harder and make it less economical to have modern day slaves. It's not a deterrent to the gangs either, giving asylum to people who are victims of human trafficking, modern day slavery. The reason it's not a deterrent is, as I've explained, the local gang, or if it's an international smuggling ring, will still be getting paid regardless of whether the person is, we'll call it Anna, we'll go back to Anna, is enslaved or given asylum or not, because they'll still be able to blackmail Anna to give them the money. So it's actually in the interests of people smugglers to get their victims asylum in a country, because in terms of mathematics, if you're a local smuggling ring, you don't need to employ security and find job placements for them. Your victims, all you've got to do is wait for them to get given asylum and then pay you back, or pay you 50% of their wages, 20% of their wages, whatever it is, for the rest of their life. That's a much better investment for a criminal organisation, because the overhead costs will be less. Obviously, you still need cheap labour and slaves, but it's profitable for human traffickers if people are given asylum, because unfortunately it's very hard to do something about a criminal organisation in rural Mexico or rural Argentina or anywhere like that, or rural Honduras or rural Kazakhstan. You can't really do much. So by giving people asylum who are victims of people smuggling, you are incentivizing that trade, because the people smugglers get their money regardless. There may be an issue with giving illegal immigrants or victims of human trafficking and victims of modern day slavery asylum for the local businesses that need a supply of slaves because they need cheap labour, or it's a prostitute ring or something that happens too, and it's unfortunate. But in terms of the survival of the industry of modern day slavery, it does seem to be very bad to give victims of modern day slavery asylum. And I know that's quite difficult. It's quite sad, because everyone who's right thinking would want to help victims of modern day slavery. People have been coerced into moving halfway across the world by criminals. These people, I would say, are deserving of your sympathy, but I wouldn't say they're deserving of a place in your country, because it's not in their best interests. It's not in the best interests of the native population either, because the native population don't want modern day slavery going on. They don't want random foreigners being imported as slaves. And it's quite a tough thing to discuss. Also, there's another problem. It comes under deterrent. Most people who illegally immigrate, or a significant number of them, will technically be the victims of human trafficking and people smuggling at some point, because they got into a country illegally. Allowing these people who are victims of human trafficking, people smuggling, to claim asylum will allow these people to stay effectively where they shouldn't, because they've entered the country illegally. So it's a difficult topic, and I understand it's a very emotive topic, but I generally am of the opinion that importing people or from a different country and allowing them to stay is a very bad thing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this is an interesting video for you, and I hope it gives you a unique insight, or a different insight, into what I think is one of the worst industries in the world. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to check out the links below. There's my Substack, there's also my locals, which will help you improve your public speaking skills. Thank you very much again for watching.